For this week's edition of Military Tales, we take it to the skies. We visit one Kenya Air Force colonel in Kirinyaga County who served for 30 years in various capacities.
Yes, how are you, Mr. Njue? Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Karibu Mugumoine Garden.
Mugumoine.
Yeah, and particularly the home of Mbuteti.
Yeah.
We have a sit down in his garden that he has planted a variety of trees and flowers.
My name's John Koro Mbuteti, and a retired officer after serving the armed forces for 30 years. I joined armed forces in 1985, and to be precise, in May 1985, and retired in 2014, August. I was born in 1962 or thereabout, in a place called Kangai in Kirinyaga. I started schooling there in Kangai. It's called Kangai Primary School. I did my CP in 1979. Then I proceeded to do my secondary school education, and I joined Machakos Technical School. I did electrical at the technician level, electrical engineering. I proceeded to do my A-levels in Jiris High School, where I did my A-levels in 1984, and I joined the armed forces in 1985. That is May, and I joined now as an Air Force cadet. I went to Lanet, and I started the training.
Fresh as a cadet, Mbuteti joined the Defense Training College and was later sent abroad to further his education and training.
I was posted in Laikipia Air Base, and after 1 year, I was taken to do my engineering officer's course in Kenya Defense Technical College. Then it was Kenya Armed Forces Technical College, where I did my engineering course for about 1 year and a half. That is from 1988 to early part of 89. I was seconded to go to UK and take further studies in engineering, and to be specific, I did ground radar course. That is ground engineering radar course, which again, it was mainly telecommunication. And that actually was my line of training in the armed forces. So I stayed there for 1 year. 1 year, I think, with 2 months, then came back in 1990.
When he came back, he was assigned the role of maintaining fighter jets.
February, thereabout. And again posted to Laikipia Air Base. That is where I started working as a young officer, now full lieutenant with the 2 pips. I was assigned the duties of maintenance of the jets, the ones that you see. I think that they were F5s. And I was appointed as a flight lieutenant in charge of electrical and instruments.
Over the years, Mbuteti rose through the ranks in the Air Force and at some point worked closely with the late Chief of Defense Forces, the late General Francis Ogola, in Laikipia Air Base when the late General was a jet pilot.
I grew. I was promoted to a captain, became officer in charge, now from flight commander to officer in charge maintenance, the same line. During that time, I did some duties like an adjutant. I have fond memories of General Ogola. One, as a colleague. At some point, General Ogola was my neighbor. Like, I was in this house, and he was like there. And there was a lot of things we used to do. He was a great man. One, a family man. 2, as a Christian. And that is where we connected most. Because before I joined the church, he was the chairman, like Air Base. I think I came in after he left. I was the chairman. So we used to go for this military Christian fellowship. At some point we were rank mates, majors. We were lieutenant colonels at the same time. Then of course, because of his performance merit, he was elevated to where he went. And he has never shown any difference, even at whatever level. As a colonel, as a general, he was the same. As a pilot, I was working as an engineer there. We used to support each other.
Kano was also active in sports and was instrumental in shaping athletics in the forces.
One, I found it as a relief. To me, I was very good at sports, athletics, running. I used to do 10,000, 5,000 and 10,000. Yeah, and at the base level.
Yes,
at the base level. And it is during that time I was appointed the OIC sports and specifically athletics. And that saw me joining the team, the Laikipia team in Nyahururu as a training officer and also as the officer in charge. And during that time, I actually became a manager. That is the time we used to have the likes of the current chairman,
Paul Telgat.
Paul Telgat.
Yes.
We had people like Robert Kibet. We had people like Sigei, William Sigei.
All those who are from the armed forces.
Yes. We had Ngugi, John Ngugi. Yes. Indeed, Sigei was from my unit. At one point, I was the manager, team manager of the cross-country, this armed forces, East and Central Africa. And of course, I had a team of my own, and my team won. That is the Kenya team. I was promoted to a lieutenant colonel and appointed SO1 plans. SO1 means Staff Officer 1 plans in Air Force headquarters.
Colonel Mbuteti stresses the importance of peace, having served in 2 peace missions, with the most notable one being in East Timor.
Back in 2000, the year 2000, that was Indonesia. East Timor was part of Indonesia. They erupted a conflict, and there was a lot of killing. The country was in tatters. There was nothing. 75% of the country was actually burned down, completely burned down. To maintain peace, that was the mission number 1. 2, to rehabilitate, because we had a team of Kenyan engineers. But Bananjue, there is something maybe before we continue, I would want to highlight here. I realized all worship places were left intact. That's another thing I maybe noticed. Despite of the chaos, no worship place was touched. And that's where most of the citizens actually took refuge. Our headquarters was actually occupying the former central bank. We found money, bags and bags of money. It was rendered useless overnight. Other, is it traumatizing or chilling moments when you go out there and you see how brothers have slaughtered each other. I still remember, there is a place I went there and met fresh bodies. And the way they were killing each other, slaughtering. Sometimes it becomes emotional, Wananjwe. Because you see, mama ndio huyu, na mtoto yake ndio huyu, wamekatakatwa. We wonder why. But I think it's all because of the bitterness, the emotions that are there. Because in South Sudan, there are some areas people go for others' children only. They will come and attack a home like this, and the only person they will take is abduct a kid. And for that matter, a boy. It is there. I mean, peace is everything. Peace is everything. And it can just be lost in a day. Like in East Timor, I think it was 2 weeks and the country was burned down. And it was devalued to nothing. People died, and that country, even up to date, has not recovered.
soldiers live by the code of brotherhood, which he experienced firsthand during a swimming expedition.
As we were swimming, one of my colleagues actually got stuck in the middle of the ocean. And when I saw this, there's nothing else I can do but to jump into the ocean again. We held each other. I tried to rescue this gentleman, but nothing. We started sinking together and drowning together. And one of the guys who managed to come and rescue us, it was a Timoree, a very good Timoree who came swimming, shouting that we are drowning, and among other friends of mine who were there, that is colleagues. That's how we were rescued. So what I realized is that comradeship is very important.
After retirement, he decided to venture into counseling psychology, something he had started before retirement.
Let me say on opportunity basis.
And how was the shift? 30 years in the military to now being a civilian. That was quite a paradigm shift.
I can't say I'm fully into it because having stayed 30 years in uniform, and the only thing you know, yes sir, no sir, I mean yes sir to your boss, and somebody is saying yes sir, saluting. There is no like, hey, hapo tutaweza, hapo buda tutaweza.
Air Force engineer who has a checkered resume is a husband and a father and has now turned to business and farming.
It was also a transition to get used to your spouse and get to know her better.
Yes.
Yeah, it was also a process. And even your children. I'm a father of 3 boys. And I realized if things has to be done, some of them have to go through
the mother.
the mother. And that's a fact of life. I remember when going to East Timor, I actually went out there. I left my wife expectant, and I came back when the kid was 5 months old. The kid was screaming. He couldn't take me on as a member of the family. Much as a Christian, I'm also a Kikuyu elder here, Kiama. And also when I joined them, they taught me a lot.
After the sit-down, we tour his farm, which he practices mixed farming. Without a doubt, he has maintained his farm with military precision.
This is one of the very important trees in our Kikuyu tradition. This is the Moratina. Ikiwa mti inaitwa kiratina. The fruits of the kiratina or this tree is the one that is used for brewing beer. Try it. It's very heavy.
So this one can make how many? As in,
It depends. You know, it hasn't been processed yet. One of the quietest and deepest rivers in the country.
A small distance from his home, he also sells animal feeds with some grains harvested from his farm.
These are the things that we use to make this
supplements.
We wrap up the visit after sharing a meal with the colonel and his wife. 30 years as the guardian of our skies with unwavering commitment to excellence, Colonel Mbutetti's service epitomizes courage, honor, and integrity. For Military Tales, I'm Ben Troy Njue.